He slapped me in front of everyone at my mother's baby shower. My mother smiled. But then the ultrasound machine and a technician changed everything. They thought I was just a worthless stepdaughter who deserved to be hit. They forgot I once did what no one else in this family had the courage to do. And this time I wouldn't stay silent. They were about to hear me. And this time through the hospital's own speakers. My name is Kayla, and I've been running from my past for 11 years. Not literally, I stayed in Denver, built a career, created a life, but emotionally, I've been sprinting since the day I turned 18 and walked out of my mother's house with nothing but a duffel bag and a promise to myself that I'd never let anyone hurt me again. I'm 29 now, a senior audio engineer at MedTech Solutions. It's not the most glamorous job, installing and maintaining audio systems in medical facilities, but it pays well. And there's something satisfying about the precision it requires. Every wire has its place, every frequency its purpose. Unlike families, audio systems make sense. My mother remarried when I was 16. Rick Sullivan seemed charming at first, the way predators often do. He brought her flowers, laughed at her jokes, paid off her credit card debt. Mom glowed like a teenager, and I wanted to be happy for her. God, I tried. The mask started slipping after the wedding. Never in public, Rick was too smart for that. He'd wait until Mom was at work, then corner me in the kitchen, a shove here, a twisted arm there, nothing that left visible marks. He specialized in the kind of violence that makes you question your own reality. "You're being dramatic," Mom would say when I tried to tell her. "Rick loves us. He's just stressed about work." Then came her favorite phrase, the one that still echoes in my nightmares: "He's taking care of this family, taking care of us," as if his money somehow purchased the right to terrorize me. I learned to navigate around him like he was a landmine, stay in my room when he drank. Never disagree with him at dinner. Smile and nod when he made his cruel little jokes about my weight, my grades, my attitude problem. I became an expert at being invisible. But you can only compress yourself so small before you either shatter or explode. I chose a third option, escape. The day after high school graduation, while Rick was at work and Mom was getting her nails done, I packed everything that mattered into a second-hand duffel bag. I left a note on the kitchen counter: "I'm safe. Don't look for me." I crashed on friends' couches, worked 3 jobs, and put myself through community college, then a technical certification program, then an apprenticeship at MedTech. I built my life brick by brick, payment by payment, certification by certification. No one gave me anything. No one hurt me. It was lonely, but it was mine. 4 years, I managed to avoid them completely. I changed my phone number, stayed off social media, shopped at different grocery stores. When mutual acquaintances asked about my mother, I'd say we'd grown apart. Clean, simple, no messy explanations required. I threw myself into work. Turned out I had a gift for audio engineering. Something about growing up hypervigilant makes you excellent at catching subtle sounds others miss. My supervisor started requesting me for the complex installations, hospitals, surgical centers, diagnostic facilities. I became the go-to person for medical-grade audio systems. My apartment is small but clean, decorated in shades of blue and gray. I have plants that I've kept alive for years, proof that I can nurture something without destroying it. I volunteer at the women's shelter on weekends, teaching basic computer skills. I've built something good here, something whole. So, when my phone rang last Tuesday and Mom's name appeared, somehow she'd gotten my new number, my carefully constructed world tilted on its axis. "Kayla, sweetie, it's Mom." Her voice hadn't changed, still that breathless, slightly desperate quality that made everything sound like an emergency. "How did you get this number?" "Oh, I ran into your old friend Melissa at the store. She thought we were still in touch. A pause. Honey, I have the most wonderful news. I'm pregnant. The words didn't compute. You're what? Pregnant. Can you believe it? At 51, the doctor says it's a miracle. Rick and I are over the moon. Rick, even hearing his name made my skin crawl. That's something I managed. We are having a baby shower this Saturday, at the Grand Ballroom downtown, 2 o'clock. Oh, Kayla, please come. It's been so long. And this baby, it's a chance for our family to start fresh. Start fresh. As if you could just paint over water damage without fixing the rot underneath. I don't think that's a good idea, Mom. Please, her voice cracked. I know things were difficult before, but Rick's changed. We've both changed. We go to church now. He's been sober for 3 years. Sober. I wanted to laugh. Rick's problem wasn't alcohol, it was cruelty. I'll think about it, I lied. That's all I ask. Saturday, 2 o'clock, the Grand Ballroom. I hope you'll come, sweetheart. I've missed you so much. She hung up before I could respond, leaving me standing in my kitchen, phone in hand, feeling like that terrified 16-year-old all over again. I wasn't going to go. Of course, I wasn't. I'd built this life specifically to never have to see Rick Sullivan again. But as Saturday approached, something shifted in me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the foolish hope that things really had changed. Or maybe I just needed to prove to myself that I wasn't that scared little girl anymore. Whatever the reason, I found myself standing outside the Grand Ballroom at 1:55 p.m., wearing my best dress, and carrying a gift bag with a neutral baby blanket inside. My hands were steady, my breathing was calm. I was about to walk back into hell, but this time I wasn't 16. This time I had a power they didn't even know about. I just didn't know yet how soon I'd need to use it. The Grand Ballroom lived up to its name. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over round tables dressed in pink and blue linens. Balloon arches framed the entrance, and a massive banner proclaimed, Baby Sullivan, a miracle blessing in glittering letters. The whole thing must have cost a fortune. I recognized some faces from my teenage years, neighbors, Mom's co-workers, people from their church. They looked at me with that particular mixture of surprise and pity reserved for prodigal children. I kept my smile fixed and neutral, accepting their awkward hugs and avoiding their questions about where I'd been. Mom appeared in a flowing maternity dress, her face glowing with pregnancy hormones and expensive makeup. She looked younger somehow, or maybe just softer. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. Kayla, oh honey, you came. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like her old perfume, vanilla and roses. For a moment, I let myself remember the mother who used to braid my hair and make me grilled cheese sandwiches cut into triangles. Hi, Mom. Let me look at you. She held me at arm's length. You look wonderful, professional. I heard you're working with computers, audio engineering, actually medical equipment. That sounds impressive. Her smile wavered slightly. Rick will be so happy to see you. As if summoned, his voice boomed across the room. There's my beautiful wife. Rick Sullivan hadn't changed much. Same broad shoulders, same salt and pepper beard, same cold blue eyes that could switch from charming to calculating in a heartbeat. He wore an expensive suit and a cross on a gold chain, apparently part of the new Rick package. He approached us with his arms spread wide, playing the jovial host. Kayla, what a wonderful surprise. I stepped back before he could hug me. Rick? His smile tightened infinitesimally, still shy. I see. Well, no matter. Today's about celebration. He wrapped an arm around Mom's shoulders, his hand gripping just a little too tight. "Isn't that right, sweetheart?" "Of course," Mom said quickly. "Why don't you get Kayla a drink, honey?" "I'm fine," I said. "Nonsense. It's a party." Rick's voice carried that old edge, the one that meant refusing wasn't really an option. "I'll get you some punch. Still don't drink alcohol. I assume some things never change." He walked away. Mom touched my arm. "He really has changed, Kayla. I know you two had your differences." "Differences?" The word tasted bitter. "Is that what we are calling it?" "Please, not today." Her hand moved to her swollen belly. "This baby is our second chance. Can't you just be happy for us?" I wanted to ask her what happened to my second chance, but the words stuck in my throat. Around us, guests were starting to take their seats for the shower games and gift opening. "Come sit at our table," Mom said, "please." Against my better judgment, I followed her to the head table. Rick returned with a cup of sickeningly sweet pink punch, setting it in front of me with exaggerated care. There we go. Just like old times, having Kayla at the family table. The shower proceeded with typical fanfare. Games about guessing the baby's weight, racing to diaper dolls, tasting baby food. I participated mechanically, my smile feeling more plastic with each passing minute. Rick held court, telling stories about their miracle pregnancy and how God had blessed their patience. "We always wanted more children," he said, his hand on Mom's shoulder. "But sometimes God makes us wait for his perfect timing." More children, as if I had been his child, as if what happened in that house had been normal family dynamics. The gift opening began. Expensive strollers, designer baby clothes, top-of-the-line monitors. Each gift came with effusive thanks from Rick, who made sure everyone knew how humbled he was by their generosity. A young waitress, obviously pregnant herself, struggled with a heavy tray of champagne glasses for the toast. She wobbled slightly, and Rick laughed. "Careful there, sweetheart. That baby weight will throw off your balance every time, though you'd think you'd be used to it by now." "What are you, about ready to pop?" 6 months, sir." 6 months could have fooled me. "You're huge. Better watch those cravings, or your husband's going to need a forklift to get you out of bed." The table laughed uncomfortably. The waitress's eyes filled with tears as she set down the tray and hurried away. "Rick," Mom said quietly. "That wasn't kind." "What?" "I'm just joking around. These kids today are too sensitive," he raised his voice. "Can't even have fun anymore without someone getting their feelings hurt." I stood up. That was cruel. The laughter died. Rick's eyes fixed on me, that old predator assessment flickering behind his jovial mask. "Excuse me. You humiliated that girl for no reason. She's doing her job while pregnant. Show some respect." "Respect?" His voice dropped to a dangerous register I remembered too well. "That's rich. Coming from someone who abandoned her family for over a decade. You want to talk about respect?" "Rick," Mom warned. "No, Denise. She walks in here after all these years judging me, judging us." He stood, towering over me. "You always were an ungrateful little," my voice came out steadier than I felt. "I'm not 16 anymore." "You can't." The slap came fast, the sound cracking through the room like a gunshot. My cheek exploded in pain, my head snapping to the side. The room went silent except for the soft background music and someone's sharp intake of breath. I turned back slowly, my hand on my burning cheek. Rick stood there, chest heaving, his mask completely gone now. And behind him, my mother sat perfectly still, her hand on her belly. She was smiling, not broadly, not obviously, just a small, satisfied curve of her lips, as if something had been confirmed, as if I had deserved it. That smile broke something in me that 11 years of distance hadn't quite managed to heal. "I'm leaving," I said quietly. "Drama queen, just like always," Rick muttered. But I was already walking away. Behind me, I heard Mom's voice. "Well, let's continue with the gifts, shall we? These things happen in families." "Rick, honey, sit down." I made it to my car before the shaking started. My cheek throbbed, but it was that smile, that small, terrible smile that really hurt. She knew. She'd always known. And she'd chosen him anyway. I drove home on autopilot, my mind racing. They thought they'd won. Thought I was still that powerless teenager, who could be slapped into submission. But they'd made a crucial mistake. They'd reminded me who they really were. And this time, I had resources they couldn't imagine. I sat in my car outside the grand ballroom for 20 minutes, watching guests leave through my rearview mirror. My cheek still burned, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the image seared into my mind, my mother's smile, that small, knowing curve of her lips that said everything I'd never wanted to admit. She knew. She'd always known, and she'd chosen him. My phone buzzed with texts from unknown numbers, probably guests from the shower who'd gotten my number from Mom. I didn't read them. Instead, I drove home, my hand steady on the wheel, despite the storm raging inside me. My apartment felt like a sanctuary when I finally closed the door behind me. I went straight to the bathroom mirror. The mark was already fading. Rick had always been careful about how hard he hit, even in public. Just enough to humiliate, not enough to leave evidence. But I wasn't 16 anymore, and I wasn't powerless. I made myself tea and sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, thinking. The old Kayla would have disappeared again, changed her number, maybe even moved to a different city, but running hadn't solved anything. It had just postponed the reckoning. My work phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but the caller ID showed MedTech Solutions. "Kayla, sorry to bother you on the weekend." It was Jim, my supervisor. "We've got an emergency installation at Denver Presbyterian on Monday. Their entire OBGYN wing audio system crashed. Can you handle it?" Denver Presbyterian, where Mom had mentioned getting her prenatal care. "Which department specifically?" "The high-risk pregnancy unit, 3rd floor. They need the ultrasound room systems prioritized. Apparently, they've got important appointments that can't be rescheduled." The universe, it seemed, was offering me something. I just wasn't sure what yet. "I'll take it," I said. "You're a lifesaver. The equipment's already been delivered. Just needs your magic touch." After hanging up, I pulled up Denver Presbyterian's website. Their high-risk pregnancy unit was state-of-the-art, serving patients across Colorado. I knew their system. I'd actually consulted on the original installation 3 years ago. It was one of our most advanced setups, with integrated recording capabilities for training purposes and quality control. Recording capabilities. I pushed the thought away. I was a professional. I wouldn't abuse my position, no matter how much they deserved something. Sunday passed in a blur of preparation. I reviewed schematics, checked equipment specifications, and tried not to think about Mom and Rick. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw that smile. Heard the crack of his hand against my cheek. Felt the weight of all those years of you being dramatic, and his taking care of this family. Monday morning came too soon and not soon enough. I arrived at Denver Presbyterian at 7 a.m., my work ID and toolkit in hand. The OBGYN wing was already bustling with activity, nurses preparing for the day, doctors reviewing charts, the anxious energy of expecting parents filling the hallways. "You must be from MedTech." A woman in scrubs approached me. I'm Marissa, the ultrasound tech. Thank God you're here. We've been working with portable units, but it's been a nightmare. I recognized her vaguely. We'd met during the original installation. Kayla, what exactly happened to the system? Power surge Friday night. Fried the main control unit. We've got a full schedule today, including some time-sensitive cases, she lowered her voice. Including a rather difficult couple at 2 p.m. The husband's been calling every hour to make sure we'll be ready. Real piece of work. My stomach tightened. 2 p.m. It couldn't be. Let me get started, I said. I'll have you up and running well before then. The ultrasound room was a mess of disconnected cables and error messages. I got to work, losing myself in the familiar rhythm of diagnostics and repairs. This was what I was good at, solving problems, making broken things whole again. By noon, I had the main system operational. But as I ran through the final checks, I discovered something interesting. The backup recording system, designed to automatically save sessions for quality review, was still functional. More than functional, it was in perfect working order, with expanded storage capacity. I didn't remember installing that. How's it going? Marissa poked her head in. Almost done. Just need to test the recording system. Oh, that thing. We never use it. Hospital policy says we need patient consent for any recordings. And nobody ever agrees. The lawyers are too paranoid about privacy lawsuits. But it's still active. Has to be, apparently, something about system integration. It auto-deletes after 48 hours anyway. She checked her watch. Speaking of which, I should grab lunch before the afternoon rush. You good here? All good. She left, and I stared at the recording system interface. A few keystrokes showed me the full capabilities, audio and video, high definition, with multiple backup protocols. The files were encrypted but accessible with the right permissions. And as the installing technician, I had those permissions. I thought about Mom's smile, Rick's hand, 11 years of silence. Then I went back to work, making sure everything was perfect for the afternoon appointments. At 1:45, I was packing up my tools when familiar voices echoed down the hallway. My body recognized them before my brain did, instant tension, the old flight response kicking in. Told you to call ahead, Denise. These people are incompetent. They said 2 p.m. honey, we're early. Early is on time. On time is late. You should know that by now. I slipped into the supply closet, leaving the door cracked. Through the gap, I watched them approach. Mom moved differently now, one hand supporting her belly, the other gripping Rick's arm. He looked impatient, checking his phone every few seconds. Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, Marissa appeared with a tablet. We are ready for you. About time, Rick muttered. Do you people have any idea how difficult it is for my wife to keep rescheduling? This is a high-risk pregnancy. I apologize for the inconvenience. The system failure was unexpected. Unexpected. He snorted. That's what they all say. Incompetence is what it is. They disappeared into the ultrasound room. I waited 5 minutes, then quietly made my way to the technician station. The monitoring screen showed the room clearly. Mom on the examination table, Rick in the chair beside her, Marissa preparing the equipment. My finger hovered over the record button. This was wrong, unethical, probably illegal. Then I heard Rick's voice through the speakers, make it quick. I've got a meeting at 3. Rick, please, Mom said softly. This is about the baby. The baby's fine. You're fine. This is all just hospitals trying to squeeze more money out of insurance. I pressed record. The session proceeded normally at first. Marissa was professional, despite Rick's running commentary about the equipment, the gel temperature, the room lighting. Mom lay silent, eyes on the screen showing their baby. Everything looks perfect, Marissa said. Would you like to know the gender? Boy, Rick said immediately. Has to be. The Sullivan name needs to continue. It's a girl, Marissa said gently. The room went quiet. On the screen, I saw Rick's face darken. Run it again, he said. I'm sorry. The test. Run it again. You made a mistake. Mr. Sullivan, I've been doing this for 15 years. It's definitely a girl. Congratulations. Congratulations, his voice rose. I don't need a daughter. I need a son. Someone to carry on the family name, not another useless. He cut himself off, but the damage was done. Rick, Mom whispered. Shut up, Denise. This is your fault. All those supplements, all that prayer, and you give me another girl. Another girl, like I had been the first disappointment. I think we are done here, Marissa said coldly. I'll print your images at the front desk. We are done when I say we are done, Rick snarled. You people think you're so smart with your machines and your degrees, but you don't know anything about real life, about what a man needs from his family. Mr. Sullivan, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, or I'll call security. Go ahead. I'll have your job by tomorrow. My lawyers will. Rick, please, Mom's voice was desperate now. The baby. Stress isn't good for the baby. The baby, he laughed bitterly. Another mouth to feed. Another disappointment. Just like Kayla, Mom's voice was so quiet I almost missed it. At least Kayla had the sense to leave. This one will be stuck with us. With you? His voice turned cruel. Unless you do something stupid like contact her again. We talked about this. Denise, that girl is poison to our family. I know. I'm sorry. I just thought, you don't think. That's your problem. If you could think, we wouldn't be in this mess. There was a sound of movement. Get dressed. We are leaving. But the images, I said. We are leaving. I stopped recording as they gathered their things. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From rage, pure crystallized rage at the casual cruelty of it all. Another girl, another disappointment, another victim for Rick's particular brand of family values. But they'd made a mistake. They'd shown their true selves in a room they thought was private, saying things they thought would never be heard by anyone who mattered. They were wrong. I sat in my car in the hospital parking garage for an hour after they left, replaying the recording on my laptop. Each word was crystal clear, every inflection captured by our high-end equipment. Rick's voice dripped with contempt. Mom's responses were meek, defeated. But it was what came next that made my blood run cold. The recording had kept going after I thought they'd left. There must have been a delay while they gathered their things because Rick's voice came through again, lower now, more menacing. If you contact that girl again, Denise, I swear to God, I won't, I promise. You promised before, at the shower, and yet there she was, making a scene, embarrassing me in front of everyone. I'm sorry. I just wanted, I don't care what you wanted. You know what happens when you disobey me. You remember what happened last time you got ideas about leaving. Yes? Say it. You pushed me down the stairs. I lost. Her voice broke. You lost the baby because you were clumsy because you tried to leave me. The police believed it was an accident. Everyone believed it, just like they'd believe it again. My hand stilled on the keyboard. Another baby. There had been another baby. I won't leave, Mom whispered. I won't contact Kayla. I'll be good. You'll be perfect for this baby, for me, or accidents happen, Denise. You know they do. The recording ended with the sound of a door closing. I copied the file to 3 different drives. My mind racing. This wasn't just about control anymore. This wasn't just about control anymore. This was about murder. He'd killed their baby, my sibling, and gotten away with it. And now he was threatening to do it again. My phone buzzed. Marissa's number. Hey, just wanted to check if you finished with the system. Everything working okay? Yeah, all good. Actually, Marissa, can I ask you something? GH, don't get me started. The husband was a nightmare. I've already filed an incident report. We have a zero-tolerance policy for abusive behavior towards staff. Has he been there before? A few times. Always the same. Demanding, belittling, controlling. The wife never says a word. Honestly, I'm worried about her. Me too, I said quietly. Listen, about that recording system, though, the one we never use, right? Hypothetically, if someone were to access it, maybe for quality control purposes, what would they find? A pause. Hypothetically, they'd find that I may have accidentally hit record during certain appointments. For training purposes, of course. Why? My throat felt tight. No reason. Just checking the system integrity. Kayla. Her voice was careful. I've been doing this job a long time. I see things, hear things. Sometimes those things need to be heard by others. Hypothetically speaking, I understand. Good. Oh, and Kayla. Yes. The system backs up to the cloud every night at midnight. The hospital's main server, not the department one. Much more secure. Much harder to delete, hypothetically. She hung up, leaving me staring at my laptop screen. I drove home and spent the evening researching hospital protocols, privacy laws, mandated reporting requirements. The more I read, the clearer it became. I had evidence of domestic violence and threats against an unborn child. The question was what to do with it. Tuesday morning, I called in sick to work and drove to the Denver Police Department. The detective who met with me, a woman named Sarah Martinez, listened to my story with practiced neutrality. You have this recording. I handed her a USB drive. There's a clear threat of violence against a pregnant woman. She plugged it into her computer, and we listened together. Her expression never changed, but I saw her taking notes, her pen moving faster as Rick's threats became more explicit. This is concerning, she said finally. But it's also complicated. This recording was made without consent. In Colorado, we are a one-party consent state, but neither you nor someone working on your behalf was part of this conversation. So, it's useless. Not useless, but not admissible in court. However, she leaned back. Threats against an unborn child fall under our mandatory reporting laws. I can't use this recording as evidence, but I can use it as probable cause to open an investigation, especially with the mention of a previous incident. What kind of investigation? We'll start by pulling hospital records from the mentioned fall. Interview neighbors, friends, build a case properly. She stuttered me. You said this man is your stepfather. Was he? I haven't seen them in over a decade until last Saturday. And that's when he assaulted you. I touched my cheek reflexively. Yes, at the baby shower, in front of about 50 people. Her eyes sharpened. Did you file a report? No, I just wanted to leave. Are any of those 50 people willing to give statements? I thought about the shocked faces, the uncomfortable silence. Maybe. I don't know. Give me names. She slid a pad across the desk. Write down everyone you remember being there. I wrote mechanically, trying to recall faces from that horrible afternoon. When I finished, she took the list and stood. Miss Kayla, I want to be clear. Opening this investigation might make things worse before they get better. Your mother might not cooperate. Your stepfather will likely hire lawyers. Are you prepared for that? Was I? I thought about the recording, about another girl who would grow up in that house, about a baby who never got the chance to grow up at all. I'm prepared. Good. I'll be in touch. In the meantime, if you remember anything else, or if they contact you, call me immediately. She handed me her card. And Miss Kayla, what you did took courage. That recording might not be admissible, but it tells me where to look. That's more than we usually get in these cases. I left the police station feeling strangely empty. I'd set something in motion, but I had no control over where it would lead. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. You stupid little, Rick's voice was pure venom. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? The police came to my work. My work. Rick, shut up. You've just made the biggest mistake of your pathetic life. I'm going to bury you in lawsuits. Slander, defamation, theft of private property. By the time I'm done, you'll be living in a cardboard box. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You think you're smart? Playing with your little computers. I own this town. I golf with judges. I have dinner with the district attorney. Nobody's going to believe a word you say. Maybe not, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. But they'll investigate. They'll dig. And guys like you, Rick, you always make mistakes. You're making one right now. Calling me. Recording this too. Go ahead. Unlike you, I know the law. This is a courtesy call to inform you that my lawyers will be contacting you. Enjoy your last days of freedom. Kayla, prison doesn't have audio equipment for you to play with. He hung up. I looked at my phone's call recording app, which had captured every word, and almost smiled. He thought he knew the law, but he didn't know technology, and he definitely didn't know me. Wednesday morning brought a text from Marissa. Did you hear that couple from Monday filed a complaint against me? Says I was unprofessional and discriminatory. Hospital's conducting an internal review. I called her immediately. Marissa, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. Your fault. How do you figure that? It's complicated. But Rick, Mr. Sullivan, he's retaliating because I went to the police about something else. A long pause. The recording. You knew. I told you, Kayla. I've been doing this job a long time. I see the bruises women try to hide. I hear the way certain men talk to their wives. When I saw your face in that supply closet, how you hid when they came in, I put it together. The hospital can't find out about the recording. You'll lose your job. Let me worry about my job. You did what you had to do. Besides, I have my own insurance. Did you know the system has been malfunctioning and recording randomly for months? Technical glitch. Could happen to anyone. I filed a report about it last Tuesday, right after their appointment. See, I'm being a responsible employee. Reporting system errors, Marissa. Also, funny thing, turns out 3 other technicians have complained about Mr. Sullivan's behavior during previous visits. HR has been building a file. My complaint just added to the pile. He might have more problems than he realizes. After we hung up, I spent the morning fielding calls from unfamiliar numbers, probably Rick's lawyers. I didn't answer. Let them leave voicemails. Let them create more evidence of harassment. Detective Martinez called around noon. We've made progress. Pulled the hospital records from 5 years ago. Your mother was admitted with injuries consistent with a fall downstairs. She was 14 weeks pregnant at the time. Lost the baby. My stomach turned. The attending physician noted some inconsistencies, bruising patterns that didn't quite match the story, but without your mother's cooperation, they couldn't pursue it. She insisted it was an accident. Of course, she did. Here's the interesting part. This wasn't the first accident. We found 2 other ER visits over the past 7 years. Different hospitals, always with plausible explanations. Your stepfather was careful, but not careful enough. There's a pattern. Is it enough? Combined with the baby shower assault. Yes. We've had 4 witnesses come forward and the threatening phone call you recorded. It's enough to bring charges. The question is whether your mother will testify. I knew the answer to that. Mom would never testify against Rick. She'd protect him like she always had, choosing his violence over my safety, his control over her freedom. What happens next? We'll arrest him tomorrow. Domestic violence, assault, making criminal threats. He'll probably make bail, but there'll be a restraining order. He won't be able to contact you or your mother without violating it. He'll find a way. Men like Rick always do. Maybe, but now he'll be doing it with the court watching. That changes things. Thursday morning, I woke to my phone exploding with notifications. Rick's arrest had made the news. Prominent Denver businessman arrested on domestic violence charges. The article mentioned his company, his church involvement, his expectant wife. It didn't mention me by name, but anyone who knew the family would connect the dots. The call started immediately. Mom's number appeared repeatedly, but I didn't answer. Let her leave a message if she had something to say. She did. 23 messages, actually. They progressed from confused to angry to desperate to threatening. Kayla, what have you done? This is a misunderstanding. Call me. You're destroying our family. Rick's lawyers say you're going to prison for illegally recording us. I'm bleeding, the stress, the baby. Please call me. This is your fault. All of it. You couldn't just leave us alone. I hate you. I wish you'd never been born. The last message was different. Quiet, defeated. They want me to testify. The detective, Martinez, she says she can protect me, but you don't understand. Kayla, he'll kill me. He'll kill the baby. Just like before. Please stop this. I'm begging you. I listened to that last message 3 times. Part of me wanted to call her back, to tell her it would be okay, that she could leave him and start over. But I'd tried that for years as a teenager. She'd made her choice then. She'd made it again at the baby shower with that smile. Instead, I called Detective Martinez. My mother left me a voicemail. She admits he killed the first baby. Forward it to me. That's evidence. She says she's bleeding. The stress of the arrest. We've been monitoring the situation. She was admitted to Denver Presbyterian an hour ago. She's stable. The baby's fine. And Kayla, she's asking for you. No. I understand. But consider this, she might be ready to talk now. His arrest, the public exposure. Sometimes that's what it takes to break the cycle. And sometimes they just go right back. Sometimes, yes, but she's asking for you, not him. I thought about it for a long moment. Which room? 324, there's an officer outside. Rick's not getting anywhere near her. I drove to the hospital on autopilot, my mind cycling through 11 years of justifications for staying away. But Detective Martinez was right. This was different. Mom had admitted the truth, even if only in a voicemail. Maybe finally, she was ready to choose differently. Room 324 was quiet except for the fetal monitor's steady rhythm. Mom looked small in the hospital bed, older than her 51 years. When she saw me, her face crumpled. "Kayla." I stood by the door, not moving closer. "How's the baby?" "Fine." "She's fine. Just some spotting. Stress-related." She struggled to sit up. "Did you get my messages?" "All 23 of them." "I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I was scared." "You were scared." The laugh that escaped me was bitter. "I was 16, Mom. 16 and terrified every single day. And you let it happen." "I know. God, Kayla, I know. But you don't understand what it's like. The financial control, the isolation, the threats. He made me believe I was nothing without him. He pushed you down the stairs. You lost a baby." Her hands went to her stomach protectively. "It was my fault. I was trying to leave. I'd packed a bag. Was going to go to my sister's. He found out." "That doesn't make it your fault. Doesn't it?" Tears streamed down her face. I knew what he was capable of. I stayed anyway. Had another baby with him. And now look, she's going to grow up with a father in prison because of me. Because of him, I corrected. He made his choices. And I made mine. She looked at me directly for the first time. "At the shower, when he hit you," I smiled. "Do you know why I waited? Because it proved I was right. That you were the problem, not him. That if you hadn't come back, everything would have been fine. It was easier to blame you than admit I'd wasted 20 years of my life with a monster." The honesty was unexpected, raw. "Are you going to testify?" I asked. "I don't know. His lawyers are already calling, saying if I testify, I'll lose everything. The house, the money, the health insurance. How am I supposed to raise a baby alone at my age with nothing?" "You won't have nothing. You'll have your freedom, your dignity, your life. Easy for you to say. You got out, built something. I'm 51, Kayla. I haven't worked in 15 years. I thought about my small apartment, my hard-won independence, my carefully constructed life. Then I thought about a baby girl, who deserved better than growing up in Rick's shadow. I heard myself say. What? I own a consulting firm. Well, technically I'm the sole employee, but it's registered. I need an office manager, someone to handle scheduling, billing, client communications. It doesn't pay much, but it's remote work. You could do it from anywhere. She stared at me. You do that after everything. Not for you, I said honestly. For her. For your daughter. She deserves a chance at a normal life. Then figure it out. The offer stands either way. But Mom, if you go back to him, if you choose him again, that's it. I won't watch him destroy another girl. I won't be complicit in that. She nodded slowly. The detective wants to meet tomorrow to go over my statement. Are you going to tell the truth? Yes. The word was barely a whisper. All of it. Even about the baby 5 years ago. Good. I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. Kayla, that recording from the ultrasound room, how does it matter? No, I guess it doesn't. Just thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on you. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded and left. In the hallway, I passed the officer on duty and took the elevator down to the main floor. As I walked through the lobby, I noticed the overhead speakers playing soft music. The same speakers I'd installed 3 years ago. The same system that had captured the truth when Rick thought no one was listening. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just making sure people hear what was always there, hidden in the silence between words. But I wasn't done yet. Rick might be in jail. But men like him had connections, resources, ways of slipping through cracks in the system. It was time to make sure everyone heard exactly who Rick Sullivan really was. And I knew just how to do it. Friday morning, I arrived at Denver Presbyterian with a different purpose. Not as a technician, but as a concerned citizen with information relevant to hospital safety. I'd made an appointment with Dr. Patricia Hoffman, the Director of Operations. "Ms. Kayla, please sit." Dr. Hoffman was a severe-looking woman in her 60s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Your email mentioned concerns about patient safety in our facility." I placed a folder on her desk. 3 days ago, a man named Rick Sullivan threatened violence against his pregnant wife in your ultrasound room. He has a history of causing fatal accidents during pregnancies. He's currently in custody, but will likely make bail within days. She opened the folder, scanning the police reports, news articles, and witness statements I'd compiled. "This is deeply concerning, but what specifically are you asking us to do?" "I'm asking you to protect your staff and patients. Rick Sullivan has already filed a complaint against Marissa Rodriguez, trying to get her fired. He's vindictive and dangerous. When he gets out, he'll come here for appointments. His wife is due in 3 months. We can't ban someone from medical care based on arrests. He hasn't been convicted. I'm not asking you to ban him. I'm asking you to be prepared. Extra security during his visits, protocols for staff safety, and..." I paused, choosing my words carefully. "I think your staff should know that sometimes your recording system malfunctions." Her eyes narrowed. "Excuse me." Marissa filed a report about technical glitches causing random recordings. As the technician who installed the system, I can confirm these glitches exist. In fact, they seem to happen more frequently during appointments with patients who exhibit threatening behavior. "Ms. Kayla, what exactly are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that your hospital has a responsibility to protect its staff and vulnerable patients. If your system happens to malfunction during high-risk appointments, creating records that could protect victims of domestic violence, well, technical problems happen." She leaned back in her chair, studying me. "You installed our system 3 years ago." "I did." "And these malfunctions, when did they start?" "According to the technical logs, about 6 months ago. Intermittent, unpredictable, very difficult to trace or fix." A small smile played at her lips. "How unfortunate. I suppose we'll need to live with this technical issue until a solution is found." "I suppose you will." "Is there anything else?" "Just one thing. Next week, you're hosting a medical conference on pregnancy and maternal health. 400 attendees from across the state. Rick Sullivan's company is one of the sponsors. His name is on every program, every banner." "That's correct." "The contracts were signed months ago." "Contracts can have morality clauses. Sponsors who bring disrepute to the hospital can be removed." She glanced at the folder again. "I'll have legal review it. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Ms. Kayla. We take patient and staff safety very seriously." I left her office feeling like I'd planted a seed. Whether it would grow remained to be seen. The weekend passed in a blur of legal consultations. Rick's lawyers had indeed contacted me, threatening lawsuits for defamation, invasion of privacy, and interference with business relations. My lawyer, A friend from the women's shelter laughed at most of it. Empty threats, she said. He's trying to intimidate you into backing down. Don't. Monday morning brought unexpected news. The Denver Post had picked up the story, digging deeper into Rick Sullivan's business dealings. Turns out his construction company had multiple safety violations and several lawsuits for unpaid wages. His carefully crafted image was crumbling. But it was Tuesday that everything accelerated. I was at home working on a client proposal when Marissa called. Turn on Channel 9 now. I grabbed the remote, flipping to the local news. A reporter stood outside Denver Presbyterian, microphone in hand. Leaked audio from inside the hospital has sent shock waves through the medical community. The recording, which we cannot play due to its graphic nature, allegedly captures local businessman Rick Sullivan threatening his pregnant wife during a routine appointment. Hospital officials have confirmed they are investigating the source of the leak. My phone rang immediately. Detective Martinez. Tell me you didn't. I didn't, I said quickly. I gave you the only copy I made. Then how? Technical malfunction. I suggested. Apparently the system has been glitchy for months. She sighed. Kayla, this complicates things. His lawyers are claiming the leak poisoned the jury pool. They want the case moved to another county. Let them try. The more noise they make, the more attention this gets. And attention it got. By evening, 3 more women had come forward with stories about Rick Sullivan, former employees who'd been harassed, a neighbor who'd heard screams, but been too afraid to call police, a nurse from the first hospital where Mom had fallen. Wednesday morning, Denver Presbyterian announced they were terminating their sponsorship agreement with Sullivan Construction due to conflicts with the hospital's values of safety and respect. The medical conference would go on, but without Rick's name attached. He made bail that afternoon. I knew because he called me immediately from a number I didn't recognize. You think you're clever? His voice was ragged, desperate. You've destroyed everything. My business, my reputation, my family. You destroyed your family, Rick. I just made sure people knew about it. I'm going to choose your next words carefully. You're already facing charges for criminal threats. Want to add more? You can't hide behind the law forever, Kayla. You can't hide behind your machines and your recordings. Someday, when you least expect it, is that a threat? It's a promise. You've taken everything from me. Everything. Do you know what happens to men who have nothing left to lose? They go to prison, I said. Where they belong. He hung up. I immediately called Detective Martinez and forwarded the recording. He's escalating, she said. I'm putting a protective detail on you. What about my mother? She's still in the hospital. Security's been increased, but Kayla, men like this, when they spiral, they are unpredictable. Thursday brought silence. No calls, no threats, no news. The calm before the storm. Friday morning. I was heading to my car when I noticed a van parked across from my building, unmarked, windows tinted. My protection detail was in a sedan at the corner. This was something else. I got in my car and pulled out slowly. The van followed. So did my protection detail, but they were hanging back, maybe not aware of the van yet. At a red light, I texted Detective Martinez. White van following me. Plate number. The van's door slid open before I could finish. Rick jumped out. Something in his hand, not a gun, a crowbar. I locked my doors just as he reached my car, bringing the crowbar down on my windshield. The safety glass spiderwebbed, but held. You destroyed my life, he screamed, raising the crowbar again. My protection detail was already moving, sirens blaring. Rick looked up, saw them coming. And for a moment, his face showed pure desperation. He raised the crowbar one more time, and froze. Because every phone on the street was now pointed at him, recording, live streaming. The one thing Rick Sullivan had always counted on, privacy for his violence, was gone forever. He dropped the crowbar and tried to run. He made it about 10 feet before the officers tackled him. As they cuffed him, he kept screaming, "She ruined everything. She recorded me. She had no right." One of the bystanders, a young woman with her phone still recording, called out, "Seems like she had every right, asshole." The crowd murmured in agreement. Someone started clapping. Others joined in. I sat in my car, windshield cracked, hands shaking, and watched Rick Sullivan get arrested for the second time in 2 weeks. This time with dozens of witnesses and videos from every angle. This time he wouldn't make bail. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Saw the news. Are you okay?" I typed back. "Yes. Are you ready to testify now?" Her response came quickly. "Yes. No more hiding. No more pretending. It's time to tell the truth." I looked at my cracked windshield, at the crowd of strangers who'd stood witness, at Rick being driven away in the police car. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's just about making sure they can't destroy anyone else. But I still had one more card to play. The conference was tomorrow, and 400 medical professionals were about to hear exactly what kind of man Rick Sullivan really was. Saturday morning, I stood in the audio control booth at Denver Presbyterian's Conference Center. The Maternal Health Symposium was about to begin, with 400 healthcare professionals settling into their seats where Rick Sullivan's corporate banners once hung. New signs promoted safe spaces for mothers and children. "You sure about this?" Marissa stood beside me, wearing her technician badge. She'd volunteered to help with the conference audio, officially. "Anyway, they need to hear it," I said, checking the sound levels one more time. "These are the people who see the bruises, who hear the excuses, who file the reports that go nowhere. They need to know what to listen for." Dr. Hoffman approached the podium for opening remarks. As Director of Operations, she'd taken personal control of the conference after the sponsorship controversy. "Good morning, everyone. Before we begin today's program, I want to address the recent events that have affected our community. As healthcare providers, we are often the first line of defense for victims of domestic violence. Sometimes we are the only witnesses to their truth." She paused, looking directly at the control booth, a slight nod. "This morning, we'll be starting with an unscheduled presentation. It contains sensitive content, but I believe it's vital for our professional development. Please give it your full attention." The lights dimmed. I pressed play. Rick's voice filled the auditorium, crystal clear through the professional sound system. "I don't need a daughter. I need a son. Someone to carry on the family name, not another useless." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Some recognized the voice from the news. Others were hearing it for the first time. The recording continued, each word more damning than the last: his threats, his admissions, Mom's quiet acquiescence, the mention of the previous pregnancy, the accident on the stairs. But I'd added something new: context. Between clips, Dr. Hoffman's voice provided statistics. 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence during pregnancy. Homicide is a leading cause of death for pregnant women. 70% of abuse victims report that their partners prevented them from seeking medical care. The presentation lasted 15 minutes. 15 minutes of truth that Rick Sullivan had tried so hard to keep hidden. When it ended, the auditorium was silent. Then a woman in the third row stood up. "I had a patient last year. Same signs, same excuses. I filed a report, but nothing happened. She lost the baby at 20 weeks, said she fell. Another voice, I've seen this, too. The controlling husband who answers all the questions, the wife who won't make eye contact. And another, we need better protocols, better training, better ways to protect these women. The discussion that followed was intense, productive, revolutionary. By lunch, 3 working groups had formed to develop new screening procedures. The hospital's legal team was drafting stronger protective policies. Someone suggested a dedicated safe room where women could speak privately without their partners present. I slipped out during the break, my part done. In the hallway, I nearly collided with someone coming around the corner. Mom? She was in a wheelchair, still technically a patient, but dressed in regular clothes. A nurse stood behind her. I wanted to hear it, she said simply. All of it, with other people around, so I couldn't minimize it or explain it away. How are you feeling? Sick, ashamed, angry. She looked up at me. Mostly angry at him, at myself, at all the years I wasted, but also relieved. It's out now. Everyone knows. I can't go back, even if I wanted to. Do you want to? No, the word was firm. The detective says with the new charges from his attack on you, he'll be gone for years. Plenty of time for me to rebuild, to raise my daughter, right? Have you thought about what you'll do? Your job offer, is it real? Yes. Then I accept. I know it's not ideal working for your daughter after everything, but I need to start somewhere. She paused. I also enrolled in an online accounting course. Figured I should actually be qualified for the job you're giving me. It was more initiative than I'd seen from her in years. That's good. Mom, I've been thinking about names for the baby. I want something strong, something that means survivor or warrior or phoenix, I suggested, rising from ashes. Her eyes filled with tears. Phoenix. I like that. The nurse cleared her throat gently. We should get back. You're due for monitoring in 10 minutes. As they turned to go, Mom reached out and caught my hand. Kayla, what? You did the recording, the police, all of it. I should be furious. A good wife would be furious. But I'm not a good wife. I'm barely a good mother. What I am is grateful. You saved her life. Phoenix's life. Maybe mine, too. She squeezed my hand once and let go. I watched them disappear down the hallway, then made my way to the parking garage. My car still had the cracked windshield, a reminder of how close Rick had come to his final act of violence. My phone buzzed. Detective Martinez. Thought you'd want to know. Rick took a plea deal. 15 to 20 years. With his priors now on record, he won't get early release. 15 years. Phoenix would be in high school by the time he got out. He also lost all parental rights. Your mother gets the house, the assets, everything. Clean break. Good. Kayla, what you did with that recording. Technically, it complicated our case, but practically, it saved lives. His other victims came forward because they heard that audio. They knew they'd be believed. After we hung up, I sat in my car for a long moment, processing it all. 6 weeks ago, I'd walked into a baby shower hoping to prove I was stronger than my past. Instead, I discovered that strength sometimes means using your skills to amplify the truth when others try to silence it. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Hi, Kayla. This is Susan from the baby shower. I was the one in the purple dress. I saw what Rick did to you. I should have said something then, but I was scared. I'm not scared anymore. If you ever need a witness, I'm here. P.S. A bunch of us are throwing your mom a new baby shower, a proper one. You should come. I saved her number and typed back, thank you. Send me the details. As I drove home, I passed Denver Presbyterian. The conference was resuming. 400 healthcare workers returning to learn about protecting mothers and children. In 3 months, Phoenix would be born in that hospital, surrounded by people who now knew exactly what to watch for, what to listen for, what to do. Rick had been wrong about daughters being useless. This daughter had dismantled his carefully constructed life using nothing but the truth and a good understanding of audio equipment. But the real revenge wasn't his downfall. It was the future Phoenix would have, safe, protected, free. My phone rang. Marissa. Hey. So, weird thing. The hospital just offered me a promotion. Apparently, they are creating a new position, patient advocate for domestic violence prevention. They want someone who understands the signs and isn't afraid to act. That's not weird at all, I said, smiling. That's perfect. I have you to thank for it. If you hadn't shown me it was possible to stand up to people like Rick. We all stood up to him together. Yeah, we did. Oh, and Kayla, that technical glitch in the recording system, it says it's been permanently fixed. Shame. Really? It was such a useful malfunction. I laughed. Yeah, real shame. As I pulled into my apartment complex, I realized something had shifted. The weight I'd carried for 11 years, the guilt, the shame, the what ifs, had lifted. I'd faced my past, protected my future sister, and found a way to turn my biggest trauma into someone else's salvation. Rick had been right about one thing. I had destroyed his life, but only because he'd built it on a foundation of fear and violence. All I'd done was let people hear what was already there. And sometimes that's the most powerful revenge of all, not creating destruction, but simply revealing the truth that was hidden in plain sight, or in this case, hidden in an audio file, waiting for the right moment to be played. The aftermath of Rick's arrest rippled through Denver's social circles like a stone dropped in still water. Within days, Sullivan Construction filed for bankruptcy. Former employees came forward with years of grievances. Business partners distanced themselves. The country club revoked his membership. I watched it all unfold from my apartment, feeling strangely detached. This wasn't my victory to celebrate. It belonged to everyone Rick had hurt over the years. 3 weeks after the conference, Mom was discharged from the hospital. I helped her move back into what was now her house alone. Walking through those rooms felt surreal. The place where I'd learned to be invisible now seemed smaller, less menacing without Rick's presence. I'm thinking of selling, Mom said, standing in the kitchen where so many of my worst memories lived. Too much history here. Where would you go? Maybe something smaller, closer to you, if that's okay. I know I don't deserve, Mom, I cut her off gently. We start from here, not from then. She nodded, tears threatening. We'd both cried enough. It was time to build. Mom threw herself into preparing for Phoenix with an energy I'd never seen before. She took parenting classes, read books on child development, joined support groups for domestic violence survivors. The woman who'd once made excuses for everything now questioned everything. I was reading about trauma responses in children. She told me one evening, organizing baby clothes, about how they internalize blame. Kayla, did you think it was your fault what Rick did? 4 years, I admitted. Sometimes I still do. God, I'm so sorry. I failed you in every way a mother could fail. You were a victim, too. That's not an excuse. I was the adult. I should have protected you. We sat with that truth between us, heavy but necessary. The new baby shower. Susan's initiative was everything the first one hadn't been. Small, genuine, held in someone's backyard instead of a grand ballroom. The guests were mostly women from Mom's support group and hospital staff who'd rallied around her. Marissa was there, wearing a badge that read Patient Advocate. Dr. Hoffman stopped by with a gift and a job offer. "We are starting a new program," she told Mom. "Support services for mothers escaping domestic violence. We need someone who understands their journey. The position's yours if you want it." Mom looked stunned. "But I don't have qualifications." "You have experience that matters more. We'll train you on the rest." It was perfect. Better than my office manager offer, though, so I kept that option open just in case. The legal proceedings moved forward steadily. Mom's testimony was devastating in its quiet honesty. She detailed years of control, threats, violence. The prosecutor played the ultrasound room recording. Several jurors cried. Rick's defense team tried to paint me as a vindictive stepdaughter with a grudge, but the strategy backfired when witness after witness confirmed what kind of man he really was. The baby shower guests who'd seen him hit me, hospital staff who'd witnessed his behavior, former employees who'd endured his rages. The security footage of his attack on my car was the final nail. No explaining that away as a misunderstanding. Through it all, I kept working, finding solace in the predictability of circuits and frequencies. MedTech offered me a promotion to regional manager, but I turned it down. I had other plans forming. "I'm starting something new," I told Marissa over coffee. "A security company specializing in protecting vulnerable people. Discrete recording systems for medical facilities, shelters, counseling centers. Legal, ethical, but effective. Like what saved your mom?" "Exactly like that. One in." She grinned. "Hell yes." We incorporated 2 months later. Safe Sound Technologies. Our first client was, unsurprisingly, Denver Presbyterian. Mom went into labor on a Tuesday morning in early December. I drove her to the hospital, helped her check in, held her hand through the early contractions. When the nurses asked about her support person, she said, "My daughter," without hesitation. Phoenix arrived at 3:47 p.m., screaming and perfect. 6 pounds, 4 ounces of pure possibility. When the nurse placed her in Mom's arms, something shifted in the room, a cycle breaking, a new story beginning. "She looks like you did," Mom whispered, tracing Phoenix's tiny features. "Same nose." "Poor kid," I joked, but my throat was tight with emotion. "Would you like to hold your sister?" the nurse asked me. Sister, not half-sister, not replacement, just sister. I took Phoenix carefully. This tiny person, who would never know Rick as anything but a cautionary tale. She opened her eyes, dark blue, unfocused, but somehow seeing everything. "Hi, Phoenix," I whispered. "I'm your big sister. I'm going to make sure you're safe." Mom reached over and squeezed my hand. "We both will." Later, as Mom slept and I sat holding Phoenix, Marissa stopped by with balloons and a teddy bear wearing scrubs. "How's everyone doing?" "Good, tired, relieved." I looked down at Phoenix, who was making tiny fist movements in her sleep. It's strange. For so long, I was angry about this pregnancy. Saw it as Mom replacing me, choosing him again. And now I see her as hope. Proof that even the worst situations can produce something beautiful. Very philosophical. Sleep deprivation suits you. We sat quietly, watching Phoenix sleep. The hospital room was peaceful. Safe. Everything Rick had tried to destroy. We'd rebuilt stronger. "You know what the best revenge is?" Marissa said suddenly. "What this?" "You sitting here holding your sister in the hospital where we exposed him, surrounded by people who actually care about you both. He's in a cell and you're here living the life he tried to steal." She was right. This was the ultimate victory. Not his destruction, but our survival and growth despite him. Mom stirred, opened her eyes. Is she okay? She's perfect, I assured her. Go back to sleep. We've got her. Mom repeated softly. I like the sound of that. As she drifted off again, I made a mental list of everything Phoenix would have that I didn't. A mother who'd chosen her over an abuser. A sister who understood the importance of speaking up. A community that knew how to recognize and respond to warning signs. Safety, love, freedom. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Rick had been sentenced. 20 years, no possibility of early release. I deleted the notification without reading the details. He didn't deserve any more space in our lives. You're going to have such a different life, I told Phoenix. The kind of life every child deserves, she yawned, tiny and perfect, and settled deeper into sleep. The hospital speakers played a soft lullaby. The same system I'd installed years ago, now carrying sounds of comfort instead of secrets. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is make sure the truth is heard. But sometimes the most important thing is creating a world where the truth doesn't need to be hidden in the first place. Phoenix would grow up in that world, and that was better than any revenge I could have planned. 6 months passed in a blur of firsts. Phoenix's first smile, gas, Mom insisted, but I knew better. Her first laugh at a ridiculous face I made during a diaper change. Her first time sleeping through the night. We celebrated with champagne at 6 a.m. Mom had transformed. The woman who once flinched at every sound now moved with quiet confidence. She'd started working at the hospital 3 months after Phoenix's birth, helping other mothers navigate the system she'd once been trapped in. Her small office was decorated with pictures of Phoenix, and to my surprise, one of me from my high school graduation, a photo I didn't even know she'd kept. My daughters, she'd tell anyone who asked, pointing to the pictures with pride that still caught me off guard. Safe Sound Technologies was thriving. What started as a 2-person operation had grown to a team of 8. We'd installed systems in hospitals, women's shelters, and counseling centers across 3 states. Each installation felt like a small victory. Another place where truth couldn't be silenced, but success had attracted attention. Not all of it welcome. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Official legal letterhead, sent to both my business and personal addresses. Rick's cousin, Martin Sullivan, was suing us for defamation, claiming our smear campaign had damaged the Sullivan family reputation and caused irreparable harm to multiple business ventures. He can't be serious, Marissa said, reading over my shoulder. He's very serious, and he has money. Rick's gone, but the family still has influence. What are we going to do? I thought about Phoenix, just learning to sit up on her own. About Mom finally building the life she deserved. About all the women our systems might protect. We fight, I said, but smart this time. No recordings, no leaks, just facts. The lawsuit was a joke. Legally speaking, truth is an absolute defense against defamation. And we had truth in spades. But Martin Sullivan wasn't really trying to win. He was trying to drain our resources, scare our clients, make us regret standing up to his family. He'd underestimated us. Within a week, 3 of our clients, all major hospitals, filed letters of support with the court. Dr. Hoffman personally wrote about the positive impact our systems had made. Detective Martinez, though careful to remain professionally neutral, noted that our technology had been instrumental in several successful prosecutions. But the real blow to Martin came from an unexpected source. Kayla, Mom called one evening. You need to see this. She was holding a manila envelope, hands shaking slightly. It came to the hospital, addressed to me, no return address. Inside were photographs, old ones, Rick and Martin at what looked like a bachelor party, surrounded by young women who appeared unconscious, financial documents showing embezzlement from their grandfather's estate. Police report from 1995, buried apparently, but not destroyed, detailing assault charges against Martin that had mysteriously disappeared. Who sent this? There's a note. Mom handed me a single sheet of paper. Rick destroyed my sister. Martin covered it up. They thought I'd forgotten. Use this to bury them both. A friend. No signature, no identifying marks. But someone else had been waiting, watching, collecting evidence. We can't use this, I said, even as my mind raced with possibilities. We don't know the source. Can't verify. We don't have to use it, Mom interrupted. Just let Martin know we have it. Sometimes the threat is enough. When had she gotten so strategic? Our lawyer delivered a simple message to Martin's legal team: drop the lawsuit, or face counterclaims that would trigger discovery. Discovery that might unearth all sorts of unpleasant Sullivan family secrets. The lawsuit was withdrawn within 48 hours. That was too easy, Marissa said over celebratory drinks. No, I corrected. That was 20 years of karma coming due. Rick thought he was untouchable because his family had power. But power built on lies always crumbles eventually. Phoenix's first birthday approached faster than seemed possible. Mom planned a small party, just close friends and chosen family. No grand ballrooms, no false smiles, no hidden violence, just joy. The morning of the party, I arrived early to help set up. Mom was in the kitchen, Phoenix in her high chair, both covered in what appeared to be cake batter. Test run went poorly, Mom laughed, wiping purple frosting from Phoenix's cheek. Purple, her favorite color. Well, this week anyway. I grabbed a washcloth and started cleaning Phoenix's hands. She babbled happily, reaching for my hair with sticky fingers. Aya, she squealed, her version of my name. That's right, sweet girl. Kayla's here. Mom watched us with an expression I couldn't quite read. You know what today really is? Phoenix's birthday. The day our family truly began. Not the broken thing we were before, but this us choosing each other. The doorbell rang before I could respond. Guests began arriving, Marissa with her girlfriend. Dr. Hoffman with her grandchildren. The house filled with laughter, with children playing, with the kind of warmth that had been absent for so long. I found myself on the back porch, needing a moment of quiet. The yard where I'd once hidden from Rick's rages now hosted a bounce house and bubble machine. Mind if I join you? Mom stepped out, Phoenix on her hip. Just thinking about how different this all could have been. If you'd never called me, if I hadn't gone to that shower, if the recording hadn't happened. But it did happen. All of it. The good and the bad led us here. She shifted Phoenix to her other hip. I used to think about the what ifs constantly. What if I'd never married Rick? What if I'd left sooner? What if I'd protected you better? It was eating me alive. What changed? Therapy. Lots of it. And realizing that Phoenix deserves a mother who's present, not one lost in regret. She paused. You deserve that, too. I'm sorry you didn't get it. I'm getting it now, I said. That matters. Phoenix reached for me, and I took her. This little person, who would never know the fear we'd lived with. She patted my cheek with a drooly hand, grinning. So, what's next? Mom asked. Safe Sound is successful. Phoenix is thriving. Rick's locked away. You could rest now. No one would blame you. I thought about the manila envelope, about the unnamed friend who'd waited years for justice. About all the other victims still waiting, still gathering evidence, still hoping someone would listen. There's a conference next month, I said. National Healthcare Security. They want me to present on ethical surveillance in medical settings. Thousands of attendees. You'll be brilliant. And after that, we're expanding East Coast offices, maybe international eventually. Every system we install is a chance for someone to be heard. Just like you were. Just like we were, I corrected. We went back inside to rejoin the party. Phoenix squealed as everyone sang Happy Birthday. She smashed her little fists into the purple cake with abandon, fell asleep in her high chair, covered in frosting and surrounded by love. That night, after everyone had gone home, and Phoenix was tucked into her crib, I found Mom in the living room looking at a photo album I'd never seen before. Pictures from when you were little, before Rick. I hid them, afraid he'd destroy them if he found them. She turned a page. Look, your first birthday. You destroyed a chocolate cake just like Phoenix did today. We flipped through years. I barely remembered a time when it was just us, struggling but safe. Pictures of a younger, hopeful mother and a little girl who hadn't yet learned to be afraid. I'm going to do better with Phoenix, Mom said. But I need you to know I loved you just as fiercely. I just got lost for a while. I know, I said. And surprisingly, I did. My phone buzzed. An email from a hospital in Chicago. Interested in our services. Another chance to install truth in places where it was desperately needed. Go, Mom said, seeing me glance at the phone. Build your empire. It's not an empire. It's justice, she interrupted. Preventative justice, the best kind. I thought about Rick in his cell, about Martin slinking back to whatever hole he'd crawled from, about all the systems quietly recording truth in examination rooms across the country. Yeah, I agreed. I guess it is. Phoenix stirred in her crib, making soft sleep sounds over the baby monitor. Another kind of audio system designed for protection and care. Everything in our lives now was about building safety, creating spaces where truth could exist without fear. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It was so much better. And we were just getting started. 5 years later, I stood in front of 300 medical professionals at the National Healthcare Security Summit in Washington. The woman introducing me listed accomplishments I still had trouble believing were mine: CEO of Safe Sound Technologies, pioneer in ethical medical surveillance, advocate for domestic violence survivors. But most importantly, she concluded, Kayla is someone who turned personal trauma into public transformation. Please welcome her to the stage. The applause was warm, genuine. In the front row, I spotted Mom and Phoenix, now 5, and wearing a dress she'd insisted on picking herself purple, of course, with dinosaurs on it. Mom gave me a thumbs up. Phoenix waved enthusiastically. Good morning, I began, clicking to my first slide, a photo of a typical hospital examination room. This room should be a sanctuary, a place where patients feel safe to speak their truth. But for too many victims of domestic violence, it becomes another stage for performance, another place where they must hide their reality. I talked about the statistics, the technology, the legal frameworks, but I also talked about the human element, the mother who smiles while her world crumbles, the child who learns to be invisible, the healthcare workers who suspect but can't prove. Our systems aren't about surveillance, I explained. They are about creating records that can speak when victims cannot. They are about ensuring that when someone finally finds the courage to tell their truth, evidence exists to support them. During the Q&A, a young resident raised her hand. What about privacy concerns? Couldn't these systems be misused? Absolutely, I acknowledged. That's why every installation includes strict protocols, recordings are encrypted, access is limited, and automatic deletion ensures nothing exists longer than necessary. We are not creating Big Brother. We are creating witnesses. After my presentation, people crowded around with questions, business cards, stories of their own. Mom handled Phoenix, who'd grown bored and was now coloring in a hospital brochure with crayons. Ms. Kayla, a woman approached hesitantly. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen from Seattle Children's. We had one of your systems installed last year. How's it working for you? She glanced around, then leaned closer. It saved a child's life. A father who'd been hurting his son for years. Everyone suspected, but he was smart, careful. Then, during a routine visit, he lost control for just a moment. Said things he thought no one would hear. Your system heard. That boy is safe now. These stories fueled me. Every installation, every update, every training session, they all mattered. The conference ended with an announcement that made my heart skip. Safe Sound had been selected for a federal pilot program, installing systems in VA hospitals across the country. Veterans and their families would have another layer of protection. That evening, we celebrated at a small restaurant near the hotel. Phoenix chatted about the boring speeches, and why couldn't they have toys while Mom and I shared knowing looks over her head. Mommy, why does Aunt Kayla make computers listen to people? Phoenix asked suddenly. Mom considered her answer carefully. Because sometimes people need help telling the truth. Aunt Kayla makes sure someone's always ready to listen. Oh, Phoenix pondered this. Like when I tell you Trevor pushed me at school. Exactly like that. Cool. Can I have ice cream? The simplicity of childhood. No concept yet of how complicated truth could become, how hard it could be to speak or hear. Later, after Phoenix had fallen asleep in her hotel bed, Mom and I sat on the balcony overlooking the city. Rick gets out in 15 years, she said quietly. Phoenix will be 20. I know. Does it scare you? No, I said, realizing it was true. He has no power anymore. No money, no reputation, no family support. Martin disowned him to save what's left of the Sullivan name. By the time he's released, Phoenix will be an adult who's never known fear. You'll be established in your career. I'll have built something he can never touch. When did you get so wise? Therapy. Lots of it. We both laughed at the echo of her words from years ago. My phone buzzed with a text from Marissa. Check your email. The message was from the anonymous source who'd sent the photos of Martin years ago. This time, they'd identified themselves. My name is Rebecca Sullivan, Martin's younger sister. Rick's cousin. The girl in those photos from 1995 was my best friend. She never recovered. I've spent 20 years gathering evidence, waiting for someone strong enough to use it. You were that someone. Thank you for showing me it was possible to fight back. I'm ready to go public now, to testify if needed. They silenced me once, never again. I showed Mom the email. She read it twice, tears sliding down her cheeks. Another survivor finding her voice, she murmured. How many more are out there? Thousands, maybe millions, I said, but more are speaking up every day. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. Somewhere out there, in hospitals equipped with our systems, truths were being recorded. Somewhere, a victim was finding the courage to speak. Somewhere, a child like I'd been, learning they weren't alone. You know what the best part is? Mom said eventually. What? Oh, I'll tell her someday when she's older. About Rick. About what happened. About why her big sister builds protection into places that should already be safe. But she'll never really understand it. Not the way we do. Because she'll never live it. Because we made sure she'd never have to. Phoenix stirred in her sleep, mumbling something about dinosaurs. Mom went to check on her, leaving me alone with my thoughts. 10 years ago, I'd run from that house with nothing but determination to survive. Now I ran a company that protected thousands. 10 years ago, Mom chose him over me. Now she chose us over everything. 10 years ago, Rick Sullivan was untouchable. Now he was just another number in the federal system, counting down days while we built lives he could never imagine. The recording from that ultrasound room had started everything. One moment of truth captured by a malfunctioning system. Now, those malfunctions were features built into hospitals across the country, ready to catch the next Rick Sullivan before he could destroy another family. My phone rang. A hospital in Alaska interested in our services. Then an email from a shelter in Florida. A text from a colleague about a conference in London. The work never stopped because the need never stopped. But tonight, I set the phone aside. Tonight was for celebration, for acknowledging how far we'd come. Tomorrow, we'd go back to building sanctuaries and examination rooms, installing truth where lies used to flourish. Phoenix appeared in the balcony doorway, rubbing sleepy eyes. Aunt Kayla, I had a bad dream. I opened my arms, and she climbed into my lap, still small enough to curl up like a cat. Want to talk about it? There was a monster, but then Mommy came and turned on the lights, and it was just shadows. Monsters are like that, I agreed. They seem really scary until someone turns on the lights. Is that why you make computers that listen to turn on lights? Out of the mouths of babes. Yeah, sweet girl. That's exactly why. She fell asleep in my arms, trusting and safe. Mom came out and draped a blanket over us. Her hand resting briefly on my shoulder, a touch that once would have been impossible, now as natural as breathing. This was our revenge. Not destruction, but creation. Not silence, but truth. Not isolation, but connection. We'd taken Rick's legacy of fear and transformed it into something he could never understand, a network of protection, a chorus of voices, a future where little girls grew up unafraid. In 15 years, when he walked out of prison, he'd find a world that no longer had space for men like him. A world where ultrasound rooms had ears, where bruises had voices, where silence was no longer safety. A world where Phoenix would be 20 years old, strong and free and whole. A world we'd built from the ashes of the one he tried to burn down. The city hummed below us, alive with possibility. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new stories, new systems to build. But tonight, holding my sleeping sister while my mother stood guard, I knew we'd already won the only victory that mattered. We'd survived. We'd thrived. We'd ensured others could do the same, and we were just getting started. Please share in the comments where you're listening from. I'd love to connect and hear your thoughts about this journey of survival and justice. If this story touched you, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And if you really want to help more people discover this story, please hit the hype button. It makes a huge difference in reaching those who might need to hear that they are not alone. Your support means everything. Until next time, stay strong.